China is one of the biggest trading partners for India. But at the same time, we are being pressured by China in all sides. One, by taking all the countries surrounding India into a debt trap. That's one thing. Second, all the terrorists that India want to identify are all being blocked at the United Nations by China from being named as terrorists. So there is a past, there is a present, and we are talking about climate wars that are going to happen in the future, where one can manipulate the clouds from not bringing the rain and resulting in some of the desertification and things like that. So with so much happening, it's extremely tough job, I think, for you to deal with China in balancing the trade on one side and also increasing the security for India on the other side. How do you envision that we will move forward with China in the future?
Okay. You see, why today does India, not only India, but India imports so much from China? In part, I would argue because when we embarked on reform in 1991-92, we opened up our economy. We should have done that. I mean, nobody today disputes that reform was necessary. But what we did not do at that time and the succeeding years was the way in which, let us say, China or a Japan or a Korea built up their industry. We did not give that kind of encouragement and support to manufacturing in India. Now, what it did was, it actually put Indian industry, especially small industry, very much at disadvantage. Because on the one hand, we were exposing them to the world, but we were exposing them to economies where, in a sense, there are a lot of non-market factors, subsidies at play. The scale was very different. And so if you look back at the last 3 decades, actually, this has been a very persistent complaint in the Indian business community, especially the small business community. So how today to motivate and encourage revival of manufacturing? This is something which is very important, because if our own businesses, if they prefer to source from China rather than from Indian companies, how does the chain get built? Now, you will not see that, say, in East Asia. Japanese companies will source from Japanese companies. Korean companies will source from Korean companies. So a large, some of it is like the economic factors. Some of it is making infrastructure. I mean, one of the reasons why we are making this big push in infrastructure is, if our infrastructure is not competitive, our economy cannot be competitive, because it's not only convenience of people, you are actually disadvantaging production in India with an inefficient infrastructure. So there are a whole set of changes which need to be done to encourage manufacturing. But we've had, debates in India. Frankly, I don't want to be political abroad, but we have not always seen consistent support for industry and for manufacturing in India. But there is also the motivational factor. Today, if you look at the messaging of the Prime Minister, when he keeps saying Atmanirbhar Bharat, when he says vocal for local, when he tells us, look, go buy, make in India, give preference to make in India. Even when it comes to even the government of India was often not treating Indian industry as the natural place to go and buy its products. So I would say a lot of it is economics, a big part of it is policy. There's a lot of infrastructure, but there's also that sense of having pride in being Indian, of supporting your own, of wanting your own companies to come up. That requires a certain, I would say, a collective mindset. That's one of the changes which we are trying to bring about. It will be, it will be hard because, China has today accounts for a very large part of global manufacturing. But I feel today that after COVID, after the disruptions that we speak about, climate, Ukraine, etc., there is a sense in the world that there must be more sources of production. And we are trying to position ourselves and trying to capture that sentiment and tell global companies saying, look, why don't you also look at India? But I have to earn that business. I can't just tell people come to India and not sort of be attractive enough or efficient enough to do that. I think this is today for us one of the big challenges, but certainly it's something we would like to go down that direction.